Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to bring you my weekly reads video. This is the video where I tell you what I read last week, what I'm currently reading, and what I plan to read for the coming week. I had a pretty good reading week last week. This past weekend was a little busy. I didn't get as much reading done as I had hoped to get done. As you can see, we went and got our Christmas tree, so we're in a little bit of a different filming location. I thought I'd be a little more festive and film in front of the tree. I read quite a bit during the week, but then when the weekend came, I didn't get to read quite as much, but I still managed to at least finish 2 books. I finished up a 3rd that I had been working on, and I DNF'd a 4th, but I got 150 pages in, so we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, the rest of my week was great. Just worked, had work today. We have a snow delay. We got a couple inches of snow this morning. So I just have a shortened period of time in between my runs in order to get things done. So I'm gonna film this video and maybe one other one. I have 2 videos that I wanna film with my kids, at least 2 of my kids, and I need it to be daylight and I need them to be home and I need the house to not be crazy when I'm filming. So we'll see when those 2 get done. Anyway, let's get into these books. So the book that I'm going to start with this week is the one that I actually DNF'd, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I actually got 150 pages into this book, and I just didn't feel the drive to finish it. It's not that I didn't like the writing, because I did, and I liked the story, and the characters were okay. I think that's part of the problem. I just wasn't feeling like an emotional connection to these characters. I just really didn't care what happened as far as I read. I've heard a lot of people say that it does get better past the halfway point. I just didn't have it in me right now to try and force myself to read it. I have too many other books to read, so I didn't want to make myself read this and just be miserable trying to get it done. So I'm going to DNF it for now. I may come back to this book at another point in time. I've already renewed it a couple of times from the library, and it really has to go back this week, so I just cannot finish it right now. But if I see it somewhere, I may pick it up and I may give it another try. So don't count this book out. I know many people that said that they loved it, so I know it has some merit somewhere, or at least I hope it does. But for me right now, just not the book for me. The next book that I picked up this week was for hashtag on the Booktube shelf book club here on Booktube. I know they're reading it over the course of this week. I just wanted to pick it up, read it, and get it done with, because I've had so many books going on at once for the past 2 months that I just need to get back to being a monogamous reader. I don't have any buddy read scheduled for this month. This book, hashtag on the Booktube shelf book, was the only thing that I was participating in with other people. So I just wanted to read it and get it done with. If you are participating, which I know many of you are, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I'm just going to give a very vague synopsis and review. Anyway, that book is Christmas in Paris by Anita Hughes. Now, I am not a huge romance novel fan. I read many of them when I was in my teens and into maybe my early 20s. My grandmother was a huge romance novel fan, so she would always pass them on to me. And I normally don't want to read them. Not that I don't enjoy them. They're very cute, they're very quick, they're very easy, but they're just not really my cup of tea for most of the year. But then December rolls around and I just find myself in the mood for them. I'm just in the mood for a quick, lighthearted, happy ending type read, and that's what most romance novels are. So this really surprised me, and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. There was nothing in it that wowed me, but it was very enjoyable, very cute. It is a story of Isabel, who calls off her wedding, and she decides to go ahead and spend the honeymoon that they were going to spend in Paris during the Christmas season, and she meets someone, obviously. It's just sweet. It's very cute, and I really enjoyed it. The first line in this book is, Isabel took a deep breath and thought Paris at Christmas was like one of the elaborate dollhouses she played with as a child. The next book that I read and finished this week was With Malice by Eileen Cook. I gave this book 3.5 stars. This is a YA thriller. It is about a girl named Jill who wakes up in the hospital coming out of a coma and finds out that she was in a car accident in Italy where she was spending some time for a school program. and she finds out that in this accident her best friend was killed, and everyone thinks that she did it on purpose. And this is just the journey of her finding out what actually might have happened. It was really good. It was very easy to read. It was a quick-paced read, so I kind of flew through it. I think it only took me a day and a half to read it, and it was just something that I enjoyed because a lot of my other books that I had been reading recently before I picked this up were kind of heavier, bigger, a little bit more detailed, a little bit more thought-provoking, whereas this one was just enjoyable, and it was just something that allowed me to kind of, you know, slip away from the world. So really enjoyed it. I will give you the first line from this book, and that is, "I'm not a morning person." Before I get into the next book, I just wanted to show you a little something that I received the other day in the mail. I had been reading this next book with Krystol from Krystol the Bookworm, and we've become such great friends, and she sent me an early Christmas present, and it is a salt and pepper shaker set, and it is from Game of Thrones. We have the Lannisters and the Starks. I just thought this was so cool, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you, Krystol. They're really great. I collect salt and pepper shakers, so it was just fantastic to be able to add these to my collection. So the book that Krystol and I have been reading for the last 5 weeks is 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and we finally finished. Yay! I'm so happy, Krystol, that we finally finished. I'm so glad that she read it. I know this is a huge book. I know it's also not for everyone. Stephen King's writing is not for everyone, and I was just so glad that she stuck with it and gave it a good try, and I think she liked it, so that's really exciting. This was a reread for me, and I will say, when I reread this, I realized that there are some slower parts than I thought the first go round. So I gave this 5 stars, I believe, on my first go round. As a reread, I gave it 4.5 because there was just some of those parts that were just a little too slow for me. It could have been tweaked a little bit. But anyway, this is the story of a man named Jake, and he realizes that he can almost, it is time travel, but there's a unique way for him to get there, so I won't really give that out as a spoiler or anything. But he can time travel, and he's going back in time to try to stop JFK's assassination. This also focuses a lot on his life and the time period, and it's just a fantastic book. It really, it sucks you in a way that you don't expect when you first start reading it. And the characters, their lives, you're so involved, and I ended up crying at one part, just as I did the first time. It's just so good. If you guys are like a history person or you are a fan of Stephen King, please pick this book up and give it a try because it really is one of my favorites that he has ever written. Just such a good time. Anyway, let's see. The first line in this book is, "I've never been what you call a crying man." So those were all the books that I actually finished this week. I am so glad to be done with all of those, and I'm so glad to, like I said, be back to just reading one book at a time. So the book that I'm currently reading is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I had a stack of library books at the beginning of October. I mean, so many to plow through. This is my last one, and then I'm going to take a break from the library just for a little while. I may obviously get like the second book of this or something, but I'm not going to go in and actively search for books, only sequels that I might need to read, so I can concentrate on kind of finishing up a lot of the books that are on my bookshelf. I probably have over 100 books that I have not read just sitting on my shelves that I really want to get to, so I'm trying to not go to the library so much, not buy so many books, and we'll see how it goes. But this is the first book in the Farseer trilogy. I only am a chapter into it. So far, so good. I just love Robin Hobb's writing, and I love her fantasy books so much. So I really can't wait to see what the rest of the story has in store for me. So for the books that I want to read this coming week, I only picked 3. I'm trying to keep it light and easy, so you may see another one sneak in there in my next wrap up. I'm not sure how busy I'll be or if I'll have a lot of time. So I wanted to try to not overwhelm myself. If I get to more than these, that's great. If not, these 3 I know I will definitely get to. The first book I'm going to read is one of my Christmas picks, and that is 1225 Christmas Tree Lane by Debbie McComber. I know this is just going to be another lighthearted, easy to read book that I'll get through very quickly. And then I'm going to read Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. I really want to watch the movie Christmas with the Cranks soon, so I want to read this and compare. And then the next book I was not thinking I was going to read. I have it in my TBR jar, but I haven't broken out my TBR jar in over a month because I just had so many books to catch up on and so many library books to catch up on that I haven't been able to pull books off my shelf. But my coworker brought in a copy of this and he wanted me to read it. And I said, oh, that's on my shelf at home, so I'll give it a try. So I want to read it so I'll be able to tell him that I did. I hate when people recommend things and like, he was trying to actually give me a copy of the book to read, and so I just want to really get it. I really want to get it read so that way he knows that I did and knows that I actually read it, so we have something to discuss. Anyway, and that is going to be A Prayer for Owen, Meany by John Irving. I really don't know what this is about. I didn't take a minute and look at the synopsis before I started filming, but he said it's a really great book. It made him cry, so I definitely, when I hear something make someone cry, I want to read it. I know, horrible, but I do. So I'm going to give this a try this week. So that wraps up my weekly reads video. I am so glad that things seem to be settling down just a little, especially with work, and I am getting back into the swing of things. It is still a little crazy because of Christmas, but not as crazy as when I was training. So really looking forward to being able to just relax and read some this week. I hope you guys are finding some time to relax and taking care of yourselves during this busy, busy Christmas season, holiday season. Did you guys read any books that you loved this week? I'd really like to know. Leave them down in the comments below. I hope you guys have a great week and happy reading.